First, in a dramatic turn of events, Punjab's top cop claims Khalistani terrorists killed in India's Uttar Pradesh were led by UK Army officer. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar set to embark on what will be his first US visit since Donald Trump won the presidential election earlier this year. More than 60,000 Rohingyas cross into Bangladesh amidst escalating conflict in Myanmar. Dhaka draws the red line, says will no longer allow Rohingyas to enter its territory. Cat is out of the bag. Israel's defense minister confirms that security forces eliminated Hamas's political chief Ismail Haniyeh on 31st of July in Tehran this year. Ahead of its monumental December 30th SpaceX mission, ISRO chief Dr. Somnath speaks exclusively to NDTV. All right, on to our big story on India Global today, which is around the Khalistani terrorism and the threat it poses to India, and more importantly, where all is it now surfacing its ugly head. We've spoken about how Canada is becoming a sanctuary for Khalistani terrorists, but what about the UK? That's the story that we are going to be talking about today. In a major breakthrough, Punjab Police Director General Gaurav Yadav confirmed the elimination of 3 Khalistani terrorists in a joint operation with Uttar Pradesh Police. More importantly, the terrorists were members of the notorious Khalistan Zindabad force of the KZF and were involved in a deadly grenade attack on a police post in Gurdaspur in Punjab. And the trio were operating under the command of Ranjit Singh, the chief of the banned Khalistani outfit. But what makes this operation even more chilling is the involvement of international figures. According to Yadav, one Jagmeet Singh, who is instrumental in orchestrating the Punjab police post attack. And who is this Jagmeet Singh? He's based out of the UK. He's still operating under the alias Fateh Singh Baggi and is believed to be serving or have served in the British Army, further complicating the web of terror links. Before we go any further, listen into the soundbite and then we come back and talk more the scale of the Khalistani terrorism issue that India needs to deal with, and most importantly, while we look at Canada, we are ignoring how UK may be becoming a sanctuary of Khalistani terrorists. But first up, the soundbite.
Jagjit Singh is reported to be working in the British Army as well, and Jagjit Singh was using the assumed identity of Fateh Singh Baggi. In fact, the credit was claimed in the name of Fateh Singh Baggi of the KZF. The investigations are going on to expose all the connections and members of the module.
All right, now first of all, let me just tell our viewers that what really happened here. How is it that we've reached the UK angle and why is it so alarming? Now what happened, this was an operation that took place in Pilibhit in UP. Pilibhit is an area that is dominated by a lot of Sikh population, and what resulted was seizure of 2 AK-47 rifles, 2 Glock pistols and a large stockpile of ammunition. While the terrorists have been neutralized, Yadav stressed that investigations are still on to expose the full extent of the terror network, with further arrests and recoveries expected. This successful operation has once again shown that international terror networks cannot escape the long arm of the law. But the question remains that as far as the global conspiracy is concerned, how can India now deal with it? Meanwhile, the attack comes at a time of heightened tensions between India and Canada. Remember, Canada, as I said, has been a sanctuary or has become a sanctuary of Khalistani terrorists under Justin Trudeau. He's been very sympathetic to Sikh extremists. He's taken the support of Jagmeet Singh, which is why Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau continues to face a lot of pressure from his own constituents as well, who feel that he's actually now bowing in front of Khalistani extremist forces there as well. So that's the big story that we are now delving today and on India Global. The Khalistani terrorism issue that's spawned its ugly head and raised its ugly head in Canada time and again. But why are we ignoring the UK, where also, remember last year, viewers, at the UK, at the Indian High Commission there in London, there were these attacks that took place, and they were prominently Khalistani extremists who came and attacked the Indian High Commission in London. And most importantly, the Labour Party is known to be sympathetic to Khalistani terrorists. They have several people in their dispensation, prominently in their political circles, who are also very, very sympathetic to the Khalistani cause. Where does this leave the India-UK relationship? Where does this leave the Khalistani issue that India needs to deal with? And more importantly, should we now not look at through geographies, but try and address this issue on a much bigger level? Not just look at it from a Canada or a UK point of view, but something much bigger. That's exactly what I'll be now talking to with my guest this evening. I have, let's try and get an Ambassador Anil Trigunath, who's joining me on the broadcast, former diplomat, and we have Yogendra Singh as well, who's former IG of CRPF as well. In fact, Mr. Singh, let me start with you, because when you talk about it, it is a criminal angle through which this investigation has started. Then it takes several legs, whether it's the diplomatic aspect, the political aspect, and several others. But in your assessment, Mr. Singh, how do we go about addressing the fact that Khalistani terrorists can so easily come into India and are looking to cause trouble? They get caught, and the long arm of law catches up is a separate thing. But the fact is, how do we now deal better with Khalistani terrorists who are coming into Indian territory?
The Khalistani, the Sikh people, they are, in Punjab, the majority people are Sikhs. Even this Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Uttarakhand, they also are, they quite a sizable number of the Sikhs are there. So wherever there is a Sikh population, it is easy for them to hide. They can mix up with the local population and then create a nuisance there. So now the Khalistani elements are there very active in Canada, and with the help of Pakistan, they can stick into Punjab very easily. From Punjab, they can also go to Uttarakhand. So this is a threat. This is a threat we will be, we are facing from the Khalistani elements. Although this movement or these kind of which were very, very prevalent in 1980s is hardly there, but they try to create wherever possible some kind of a nuisance, some kind of a disturbance, law and order situation, and terrorist attacks.
Okay, Ambassador Trigunath, let me just break this down in three clear aspects. One, the fact that you have a Khalistani terrorist inside the UK army. He may not be a serving officer right now, but if he has served in the army, what does that mean in terms of implications? Point number two, should we now look at the Khalistani issue not just through a specific geography, because you're talking about Canada, you're talking about UK, and point number three, what are India's diplomatic options given the fact that everybody passes this off in the name of freedom of speech and freedom of expression? Let's take them one by one. First question, sir, the fact that you have a UK army officer involved in Khalistani terrorist activities.
Well, you know that we have people of Indian origin working in different security forces, and in certain countries, they have even been defense minister and in very senior positions. And they have been sympathetic to the cause of Khalistan, which only thrives really abroad and not in India anymore. I am from Uttarakhand, and as Mr. Singh was mentioning, I have seen this during the 80s that how this terrorism continued to increase, but that was more to do with domestic and with the help of Pakistan. But in recent years, what we have seen is that all these people have been actively engaged and have been propped up by the regimes in certain countries, especially in the Western countries, like they are in USA, they are also in UK as well as in Canada, mainly. And from those support from those governments is very clearly indicative. You have mentioned about attack in UK on the Indian High Commission, how they were able to move and what happened there. That was for everyone to see, and Indian government took a very strong position in that. Likewise, with Canada, our relationship is because of their adherence to the cause of Khalistan or support to the Khalistanis, that our relationship has really gone to its lowest today. Likewise, with the United States, we have the mechanism with all these countries, frankly. We have a counter-terrorism cooperation, intelligence exchange. Still, I think that geopolitical purposes, they tend to ignore India's sensitivities and interests. And for that, what we have to do is basically internally strengthen ourselves, because these are one-off cases, but they have implications, and they can act as some kind of catalyst for other similar extremist groups taking advantage of it. Very often we have seen is that they operate through Pakistan with the help of the ISI, and even some of these Western agencies and others are involved in doing that directly or indirectly. But at the same time, they have plausible deniability by themselves. Yet we see that these things keep on happening. So I don't see that there is any global concurrence on how to fight terrorism. And therefore, and who is the terrorist? And Prime Minister
I
Modi at the
take your
United
point, sir.
Nations said
I
clearly.
take your point, sir, that, how do you go about defining terrorism? And given the fact that several of these countries hide terrorists in in the garb of freedom of speech, let me now take specific examples, and then I get in Mr. Singh also. First is that let's address the Labour Party. It has deep connections. Several of its members have deep connections with the Khalistani movement and Khalistani terrorists inside the UK. Do you think that impacts diplomatic relations? And then question number two, or a sub-question of that, is also the fact that how it's unraveling and unfolding in Canada. How do we prevent that happening in other geographies? Whether it's UK, whether it's Australia, there's also a large Khalistani terrorism movement happening there as well.
Well,
See,
there's a
wherever the
standard
Sikh,
procedure. I mean, we know that. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
Mr.
Go
Singh?
ahead, Mr. Trigunath. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is a SOP. I mean, as far as the dealing with the foreign governments are concerned, whenever you come to know that they have connections abroad, we share all the information through our intelligence networks as well as directly through diplomatic networks. And the promise, because on the face of it, the government say that they are against any kind of terrorism and they will never admit it to you. So, what credible action they take on the ground, and that is not always made public. But at the same time, I mean, we do raise all such issues through regular meetings that are held at different levels with various governments, including the UK, Canada, and USA. So it is not that India is not, or Australia for that matter. It is not that we are not taking up. But as you know, the terrorism has its ugly head, and there are political groups. Now, you mentioned that there are the Labour Party. Yes, I mean, there are a large number of Indians today, a big diaspora, which has done extremely well in those countries. They fund their parties, political parties. They are pretty strong in that. And therefore, very often, due to political expediency, that these political parties, tend to overlook their connections as far as the extremist movements abroad are concerned.
Okay, Mr. Singh, you want to come there, sir? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, see, the point is that the foreign countries, those who are supporting them, we need to have a diplomatic, initiative and diplomatic efforts so that they are nipped in bud there itself. See, in Canada, the Sikhs are a major political force now. They are in a quite sizable number. And because of the political compulsion, these people also get the encouragement and they are not dealt as strictly as they should be. Now, we also need to gear up our intelligence setup in the concerned state like Punjab, Uttarakhand, where the Sikh population is there. In fact, Uttarakhand, there is a quite sizable Sikh population there. So wherever the Sikhs are there, it's very easy for them to hide and then to operate. So our intelligence network will have to be, very strong and very prompt, and we have to, do as much as possible in collection of intelligence so that these elements are nipped in the bud.
Right. Final question quickly. I'm running out of time. And this I pose to both of you, 30 seconds each, please, which is that what should be India's next step? Starting with you, Ambassador Trigunath, what should be India's next steps, given the fact that we are now seeing Khalistani terrorism movement rearing its head in several geographies across the world? What should be India's next diplomatic steps going forward?
Well, you have seen that where, as far as Canada is concerned, it has been thoroughly exposed and is in line with the states like Pakistan as far as promoting terrorism and extremism is concerned. So our diplomatic relationship with them is much lower because there is no interest in those countries to address those situations, especially under the current dispensation. Likewise, with the United Kingdom, I mean, David Lammy, their foreign minister, was here, and all such issues are a part of the discussion that the ministers, the prime minister, all leaders and officials take on a regular basis. As and when these incidents happen, the connections are found, intelligence is shared with them to take appropriate action.
Okay,
Now, if that does not happen, that will obviously impinge on diplomatic relations.
absolutely. Very quickly, Mr. Singh.
Yeah, as rightly brought out, the diplomatic efforts are, very necessary because these activities are taking place in the foreign countries, and the only thing we can do that we can put a diplomatic pressure on them. When within the country, we also need to, enhance our efforts of intelligence collection and the various security measures so that these peoples are identified, because for them it's very difficult to it's very easy to hide among the Sikh population. So
Indeed. All right.
we need to nurture the our sources so that we get the information and we are able to take action in time.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for decoding a very important story which has many dimensions in terms of India's security and strategic concerns. Thank you so much. And on that note, we slip into a break. But before that, let me tell our viewers, we're going to come back on the other side of the break by telling you something very interesting. We spoke about the UK Army. We're going to tell you the state of UK Army and how many of them are actually fit to fight if there's a conflict. Stay with us.
Hey, Sainsbury's, how can we make this Christmas a bit more fizz-whizzy?
We can give you a hand.
A scrumptiddlyumptious salmon terrine, a roasted carrot galette, and a gloriumptious golden forest dessert.
Want to go big this Christmas? Ask Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's, good food for all of us.
How? Look out the window. Look at mate. It's a mobile phone, look.
Hij krijgt zo'n baby's head.
They can't see you, Mum.
Now I can see everyone.
We can't see you, Mum.
It's on my phone, it's your phone. Check your phone.
Merry Christmas, love.
Merry Christmas, Mum.
So what's it like over there? Is it hot?
It's roasted.
Connecting you at Christmas for 40 years. Vodafone, the nation's network.
There once was a tree, lovingly made to look real, yet looking real wasn't enough. It wanted to be real. One night it wondered, where are my roots? And an answer came. Your roots will grow within the hearts of those around you as you create very real memories. And for the first time, the tree felt real joy. Shop Boxing Day deals at balsamhill.co.uk.
For such gentle souls, working donkeys in the Middle East lead terribly hard lives. For such trusting animals, donkeys are too often abused and exploited. These sensitive, loyal animals often suffer the cruelest pain. This is the hard, painful life that donkeys in Egypt, the West Bank, Israel, and Gaza have to endure. Too often, it's not only a hard life, it is also a short one. But there is something you can do to make their hard lives much easier. Please call Safe Haven for Donkeys on 0800 144 5804 or go online and give a life-saving gift of just £2 a month. Safe Haven for Donkeys is dedicated to transforming lives in the region. Your gift means our mobile vet clinics can provide emergency treatment for injured donkeys. We heal wounds and ensure donkeys aren't suffering. We also work with local communities, helping them to look after and cherish their donkeys. You'll help make sure there's always a place at our sanctuaries for abandoned and abused donkeys who have nowhere else to turn. Please call Safe Haven for Donkeys on 0800 144 5804, text SAFE6 to 84902, or go online and give just £2 a month and help change a donkey's life today.
Welcome back. You're watching India Global. As I said, a shocking story that's come in from the UK, where a startling admission has been made by the UK Ministry of Defence, which revealed that 1 in 5, I repeat, 1 in 5 British military personnel are now unfit to fight, raising serious concerns about the readiness of the nation's armed forces. The figure shows that around 10,000 soldiers, sailors and aviators are medically unfit for combat, while another 15,000 can only serve under strict conditions such as favorable weather and minimal exposure to noise. Now, when does that happen in a conflict? Essentially, this means that there is a dire situation in the British Armed Forces, where nearly a quarter of the force, equating to over 16,000 personnel, are deemed medically not deployable or medically limited deployable. The Navy and the Air Force are also struggling with close to 3,000 sailors and over 3,700 RAF, which is the Royal Armed Forces personnel, unable to serve in active combat. These revelations come after a stark warning earlier this month from Junior Defence Minister who said that the army could be wiped out within 6 months to a year if engaged in a major conflict. This means that the UK is unfit to go to war if a situation so arises. His remarks have left many questioning UK's ability to mount an effective defence in the face of global tensions. The timing of these revelations comes as Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government faces increasing pressure over the UK's role in the ongoing war in Ukraine. Defence Secretary John Healey has hinted that the UK may step up its support, including potentially sending troops to help train Ukrainian forces. But with the UK's own military stretched thin, questions are being raised about whether the country can afford to increase its commitments overseas. UK's armed forces are grappling with recruitment and retention issues. 15,000 personnel left the military last year, many of them voluntarily. 12,000 new recruits did sign up during this period, signalling a potential crisis in both the number as well as the readiness of Britain's fighting forces. The Ministry of Defence has pledged to tackle the issue head-on, but with military personnel dwindling and a growing reliance on ageing reserves, the clock may already be ticking. The government faces a tough road ahead in rebuilding a force that can stand ready for any challenge that may stand it in the face. For India, it's been an outstanding year, more so in space. Not only were there landmark launches, but the government gave ISRO a roadmap for the next 15 years with a big bang announcement aiming to land an Indian on the moon by 2040, just about 15 years from now. The Prime Minister has also cleared unprecedented funding of 31,000 crore rupees for ISRO. And NDTV's science editor, Pallava Bagla, reviewed the year's achievements with ISRO Chairman Dr. Somnath in this exclusive conversation. Listen in.
This year has been spectacular for the Indian space ecosystem. It's more than ISRO now. There have been clearances of thousands of crores by the government and a roadmap set till 2040 for the Indian Space Research Organization. I have with me Dr. S Somnath, Chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization, who has steered ISRO into a new orbit. Thanks a lot for speaking to me, Dr. Somnath.
Thank you.
What were the big announcements within this year and which excited India and ISRO?
I believe that this year has been a very splendid year for us in terms of the missions that we accomplished and also the future roadmap that we have set for ourselves based on the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister. The very first time in the history of space program, we have a vision for next 25 years announced. That I consider as a very milestone thing that in the future that will define the way the organization is going to take or the space program is going to take it forward. As you know that the space sector opening up and reforms announced, I think there has been a huge amount of interest, and this also multiplied by the success of Chandrayaan-3, made ISRO to be looked upon as a very promising organization, an organization which is delivering. But regularly we have been looking at only the missions in terms of the rocket launches and the satellites.
Now let's talk about the approvals.
Okay.
We had big announcements made. Tell me more.
Okay, on the announcements, I can tell you that the very first time I told a long-term program has been announced. The essence of the program is exploration, where the human being or Indian will go and land on the moon before the end of this Amrit Kal. When we celebrate the 100th year of our independence, an Indian flag will be flying on the moon with our person going and putting it back and returning safely. That is targeted in 2040. But before that, we achieve that, there are many things to be done. And that is the beauty of it, that we cleared a program in which the space station is an essential element of achieving that, using space station as a platform.
Which is the Bharatiya
Antariksha Station.
By 2035.
We will build the Bharatiya Antariksha Station to be its fullest operational complement by 2035. First module will be launched in 2028. To achieve that, we will have a series of missions to Moon. The Chandrayaan 4, which is a sample return mission, has been cleared. Also, an exploration mission for Venus orbital mission has also been cleared. To do all of this, we need enhanced payload capability. So for that, next generation launch vehicle, NGLV, with a future-ready rocket, reusable, greener, and modular, which can send human beings to space and to moon, is also cleared. So these are the bigger announcements.
All right, we slip into a very short break. We come back on the other side with a very big story. The world's largest airline grinds to a halt on Christmas Eve. Thousands of passengers are said to be stranded. What does this mean for all those celebrating Christmas and New Year? We get you after this very short break. Stay with us.
This is an urgent appeal to support children in Yemen. Years of conflict have caused devastating shortages of food and water and pushed the health system to the brink of collapse. With support from people like you, we can help many more children recover and thrive. Just £10 could help provide life-saving therapeutic food for one child for 1 week. Search UNICEF Yemen online, text Yemen to 85525, or scan the QR code to find out how you can help.
However your home uses the internet, EE has the perfect Wi-Fi for you. We've got full fiber for only $30.99 a month, perfect for binging all your favorite shows. Keep your whole home seamlessly connected with the UK's most reliable broadband technology, powered by BT. And if that's still not enough, you can upgrade to Wi-Fi 7, where everything you love works better. We'll even handle the switch for you. No wonder families choose EE. Search EE Broadband Deals.
When you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing. Get the flexibility you need with VeryPay. Pay now, pay later, or pay over 3 months and pay no interest. We'll even send you helpful payment reminders. Shop the online store for fashion, home and more. VeryPay. Ways to pay that work your way.
This winter sale, say OMG because our best ever price is back. You'll get this unlimited data SIM for just £22 per month. And you can gift data to the family, so you can start the new year more connected to everyone and everything. All on the UK's best network. That's why families choose EE. Hurry, this winter sale offer ends 30th of January.
This is Amy's first Christmas on the streets. She thought it couldn't be worse here than the abuse she suffered at home. But now she's cold, hungry, and desperate to find somewhere safe to stay. No young person should be forced to spend Christmas like this. What does it take to get Amy off the streets this Christmas? It starts with the Salvation Army and a Christmas gift from you. Will you call 0800 083 6633 and give £19? Your gift means we can give young homeless people a warm welcome out of the cold. Christmas food and cheer, and a helping hand to find somewhere safe to live. So this Christmas, will you help us give Amy a fresh start off the streets? Call the Salvation Army on 0800 083 6633 to give £19 now. Thank you.
Welcome back. You're watching India Global. We now turn our attention to probably one of the biggest stories coming in right now. Breaking on Christmas Eve. The world is gearing up to celebrate Christmas, but it looks like it could be very difficult for those who are planning to travel by American Airlines to meet their near and dear ones. Let's get in Vishnu Som to tell us what really has happened with American Airlines, the world's largest airline, because of which all operations have come to a halt. Vishnu, what's it that the airline has said so far? And then we talk about how many passengers are we looking at who could be impacted on the busiest weekend?
Well, American Airlines is the world's largest airline. There's been an advisory issued by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, that's America's aviation regulator, grounding all American Airlines flights. They've specified that this request to ground all American Airlines flights has come from the airline itself. There is an unspecified technical reason which has caused this. We do not know at this stage if it is a software glitch in their booking system or any other system affiliated with flight operations. This is highly interconnected. Has there been some sort of a cyber attempt on their systems, on their mainframe or not? We do not know. And perhaps the biggest concern, is there a security concern on the basis of which all American Airlines flights have been grounded? We do not know this at the moment, but as you reported, as you just mentioned, on Christmas Eve, this is going to have an impact for lakhs of passengers who would have delayed flights at the very least. How long will American Airlines continue to be grounded at this juncture? We do not know. It could be a couple of hours. It could be more than that. The airline obviously trying to work out whatever the issues are. We expect a lot more clarity in the hours ahead. But coming ahead on Christmas Eve, the world's largest airline, 4,800 flights per day to more than 45 destinations. Many of these flights will be badly delayed. That has an impact on flights coming the other way. So it's a cascading impact is what I mean to say. And that's something that's going to impact many other passengers, perhaps for days on.
Absolutely, Vishnu. It has a cascading impact, rollover effect on all aircrafts and all flight routes. But what you said is very important, that if all aircrafts have been grounded, it could either be a technical glitch, a cyber security issue, or it could be something bigger. How soon can we know about that? Because that is something that pretty much holds the key to knowing as to what really is the reason why this kind of a decision has been taken by the aviation regulator.
No clarity on that. We expect some statement from American Airlines. All we have at this juncture is a statement on their website from the US regulator, the FAA. So we'll have to wait and see what this is all about. I suspect the airlines and the regulator themselves are trying to get to the bottom of this.
Indeed. And finally, in terms of, you mentioned it could be lakhs of passengers. Any idea how many back home in India could be impacted?
Well, I do believe American Airlines has a couple of flights to India. I haven't had a calculation at the moment off the top of my head on how many Indian passengers or passengers from India looking to get to the States or vice versa would be impacted. But presumably there would be substantial impacts over here as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vishnu, for breaking that down for us. Big story coming in on Christmas Eve, where the world's largest airline, as Vishnu was saying, has been impacted because what could be potentially either a cyber issue, security threat, it could be a technical glitch in their technology and their technical grid, or it could be something more from a security angle. We don't know that, and we would not hazard a guess either. All we have right now is that the aviation regulator in the US has grounded all 4,500 aircrafts of American Airlines, throwing lakhs of passengers' holiday plans into a complete tizzy. How long will that be remains to be seen, but let's see how they will be celebrating if maybe it gets resolved soon so they get to celebrate their Christmas with their loved ones going forward. All right, turning our attention now to the other big story that we are deep diving into today on India Global, which is around the Rohingya issue. There is fresh update coming in that 60,000 Rohingyas have now gone inside Bangladesh. They've entered Bangladeshi territory because of what has been happening the last couple of weeks, which is that Arakan army has taken control of key posts inside Rakhine state. This comes even as Bangladeshi government and Mohammad Yunus himself have very categorically said that they are not going to allow any more Rohingya refugees to come in. Why? Because they already house over about 1 million refugees. There are no exact data. It could be more than that. Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh has one of the largest refugee camps in the world, bigger than what's happened, bigger than the ones in Sudan, in fact, also. So can they, in fact, absorb any more is a different question. But the larger question here is the implication of what's happening in Myanmar. There is a security angle and there is a humanitarian angle to it. It's not just Bangladesh alone. It gets impacted from India as well, because there are about 40,000 Rohingya refugees in India as well. All right, let's now get in guests this evening. Dr. Constantino Xavier joining me from what used to be earlier Brookings and is now CSEP. And we also have Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj joining us to really decode the impact of this from a strategic, humanitarian and a larger political point of view as well. Constantino, let me start with you. The Rohingya crisis is not new. It's been going on since 2017. India also houses about 40 to maybe 50,000 Rohingyas. But the question is, the volatility in the Myanmar region right now is set to expand further, and this crisis could probably become even bigger than what it is right now, with Bangladesh refusing to cooperate, putting up its hands saying they cannot do it anymore. How do you see this crisis being handled from here on?
Very difficult situation indeed. Rarely do we see a regional crisis come together this way. I say regional because there's a collapse of governance in Myanmar. The Myanmar State Council and army are now in control of less than half of the territory of their country. That reflects in Rakhine State, as you said, with a growing civil war happening there. You also have in Bangladesh a transition that is in process, that is not easy. In fact, I wonder whether Bangladesh's position now to say that it's not able to host more Rohingya refugees is also a reflection of growing concerns about the Bangladeshi economy, about its capacity to host close to 1 million refugees in what is the largest refugee camp in the world, and receive even more, because they should be worried about not only the 60,000 who have come now over the last year to 2 years, but many more refugees that may on their way. And finally, this is a regional crisis also, because as you rightly said, it affects many more countries beyond Myanmar and Bangladesh. It affects India. You mentioned 40 to 50,000. Those are the ones we know of officially. There may be many more Rohingyas already in the country or transiting to the country. We have significant camps in Malaysia, in Thailand. We saw recently Rohingya boats showing up on the coasts of Sri Lanka. So in many ways, this is a complex crisis affecting the entire region, and which is giving, I think, clear warnings that it could escalate and affect everyone in this region.
Right. Let's get in Professor Sanjay also on this. The fact is that these are recent entrants into Bangladesh at a time when Bangladesh itself is struggling. How do you see the Rohingya crisis being handled going forward? It's clearly not something that's a Bangladesh issue. It's not just an India issue. As Constantino was also mentioning, boats have actually reached even on Sri Lankan shores. How do you see this crisis being addressed as a regional humanitarian disaster that needs to be handled?
Let me put in this way. This is a regional security issue, and entire Eastern South Asia region is affected by this Rohingya influx in this region. That you can see that this is long-going problem that that is happening, and number of the people has been persecuted, had been forced to migrate not only towards Bangladesh and India, but they are also going to other parts of the world in Southeast Asia. You can say Indonesia, Thailand, and some of them they are also moving to Andaman Nicobar. So this is a long-going problem. But there are three very important issues and challenges are emerging in this region. Number one is, of course, that these people, Rohingyas, they are around 1.8 million people. They are living in Chittagong division near Cox's Bazar, Ukhia. There are camps that you can see thousands of people they are living. They are stateless people, educationless, societyless, morality, and all that. And these people have been radicalized by the extremist elements based in Chittagong and that area. And they are trained in a way that they can fight against the Arakan army. There are also stories, coming reports are coming that the military junta is also recruiting some of the Rohingyas to fight against the Arakan army. Arakan army is also alleging that these people, they have been recruited by the by Rohingya Salvation Army and Rohingya solidarity organizations for the radical one. The third very important issue is arising that these people, they have also been involved in drug trafficking, human trafficking, that you can see that Yaba pills has been exported from the porous border. So this region has become very volatile, problematic, and that is not stopping just to the Bangladesh, that is reaching to northeast and India's some of the states.
I was coming to just that. And I asked this to Constantino, which is that there are direct security implications for India as well in this. What should be New Delhi's 1, 2, 3 key areas or action points to try and minimize, you can't insulate, but you can minimize the impact of this kind of a refugee crisis on India?
So one solution that has already been adopted is participate more closely in dialogues across the region between governments, officials. In fact, the Foreign Secretary was just in Bangkok recently for a meeting on Myanmar with the 5 neighboring countries of Myanmar. And that is a good development because it puts India not only on a bilateral path to solve this, but also into a regional club of like-minded countries who are all very concerned. Thailand is concerned. China is also very concerned, of course, for its investments. I think a second possibility is what the Thais created a couple of years ago, which was a humanitarian corridor. This worked partially between Thailand and Myanmar, and it had buy-in from the generals in Myanmar, but it allowed the Thais to channel humanitarian aid, food supplies, and other support for the civilian populations in southeastern Myanmar. Something like this could, for example, be developed between India and Myanmar, or maybe between Bangladesh and Myanmar. The third and most difficult one is, of course, India normalizing its relationship with Bangladesh. Any solution in Myanmar and a solution for the Rohingyas and for the Rakhine to return to stability. And let's not forget that India has a diplomatic mission in the Rakhine state and its own presence on the ground, including a variety of projects, economic connectivity project that it has invested in and that it needs to protect. So for that to happen, also, I think a good relationship between New Delhi and Dhaka needs to develop. We are far from it, we saw that, but a solution to Myanmar and the Rohingya issue will rely on Bangladeshi's buy-in. A Bangladeshi buy-in, in turn, will only happen significantly or with greater sustainability if it has Indian support, and that in turn relies on a good India-Bangladesh relationship.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining me in an issue that we're going to touch upon, hopefully, given that it touches upon so many lives due to the humanitarian disaster that we're all staring at. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on India Global. And on that note, we slip into a very short break. We come back on the other side and talk more about what does Israel's admission of killing of Ismail Haniyeh mean, and much more than that. Stay with us.
Amir!
How?
Look out the window! Look at mate. It's a mobile phone, look.
He crashed from his head.
They can't see you, Mum.
Now I can see everyone.
We can't see you, Mum.
It's on my phone, it's your phone. Check your phone.
Merry Christmas, love.
Merry Christmas, Mum.
So what's it like over there? Is it hot?
It's roasted.
Connecting you at Christmas for 40 years. Vodafone, the nation's network.
This is an urgent appeal from UNICEF UK. Children in Gaza are running out of food, water and medicine, and we need your help. UNICEF is working non-stop, providing life-saving medical supplies, clean water and fuel to keep services running. But we can't do it without you. Search UNICEF UK Gaza online or text Gaza to 84901 and help bring hope for children caught in this devastating conflict.
Hello. How was Iceland?
It was good, I guess. Had a few issues here and there.
Didn't you check Brighton?
No, the sun wasn't bright at all. Iceland, you know.
Wait,
You don't know Brighton?
They must have missed out on some seamless visa assistance.
Plus extra baggage allowance and 24/7 customer support.
I mean, there's a reason they're rated excellent on Trustpilot.
Brighton Travel, making travel brighter.
For such gentle souls, working donkeys in the Middle East lead terribly hard lives. For such trusting animals, donkeys are too often abused and exploited. These sensitive, loyal animals often suffer the cruelest pain. This is the hard, painful life that donkeys in Egypt, the West Bank, Israel and Gaza have to endure. Too often, it's not only a hard life, it is also a short one. But there is something you can do to make their hard lives much easier. Please call Safe Haven for Donkeys on 0800 144 5804 or go online and give a life-saving gift of just £2 a month. Safe Haven for Donkeys is dedicated to transforming lives in the region. Your gift means our mobile vet clinics can provide emergency treatment for injured donkeys. We heal wounds and ensure donkeys aren't suffering. We also work with local communities, helping them to look after and cherish their donkeys. You'll help make sure there's always a place at our sanctuaries for abandoned and abused donkeys who have nowhere else to turn. Please call Safe Haven for Donkeys on 0800 144 5804, text SAFE6 to 84902, or go online and give just £2 a month and help change a donkey's life today.
Welcome back. You're watching India Global. We now turn our focus to West Asia. And after months of suspense, Israel's defense minister has admitted for the very first time that the country did kill Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Iran's capital, Tehran, on the 31st of July. This report details exactly what all happened and why is Israel's admission so important. Take a look.
After months of speculation, the truth has finally come to light, as Israel confirmed that the IDF assassinated former Hamas political chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran earlier this year. This is the first public acknowledgement that Israel was behind the killing. Israel was widely believed to be behind the assassination, and Iran and Hamas had blamed it for Haniyeh's death.
הבסנו את החמאס, ניצחנו את החיזבאללה, עברנו את מערכות ההגנה באיראן ופגענו במערכי הייצור, מוטטנו את משטר אסד בסוריה, הכינו קשות בציר הרשע, ואנחנו נכה קשות גם בארגון הטרור החותי שנשאר עומד אחרון ויורה על ישראל. נפגע בתשתיות אסטרטגיות שלו ונערוף את ראש מנהיגיו, בדיוק כמו שעשינו להנייה, סינואר ונסראללה בטהרן, עזה ובלבנון, נעשה בחודדה ובצנע.
Israeli Defense Minister mentioned Haniyeh's killing in a public statement and warned that the military would also decapitate the leadership of Yemen's Houthi rebels. Haniyeh was widely considered Hamas's overall leader and was seen as a moderate Hamas figure. He led Hamas's negotiation efforts for a ceasefire in Gaza. As part of the effort, he frequently shuttled between Turkey, Iran, and Qatar. Israel had reportedly used an explosive device to eliminate the Hamas leader, with its operatives placing the device at the exact spot weeks before Haniyeh visited Tehran. Though Haniyeh's killing is one of the biggest success stories for Israel in the war against Hamas, the conflict rages on, with no indication as to when there would be a ceasefire in Gaza. With Vishal Vivek, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
All right, turning our attention now to Pakistan's purchase of Chinese jets and their significance. In a move that could reshape the balance of power in Southeast Asia, Pakistan is reportedly in talks to acquire 40 advanced J-35A stealth fighter jets from China. The reported move could potentially give Islamabad a boost in its air capabilities. The J-35A is China's most advanced fifth-generation fighter and is poised to become very important in Pakistan's air force if the deal goes through. Should the agreement be finalized, Pakistan would become the first country outside of China to operate this aircraft, marking it an important milestone for Beijing's military exports. But some would say it also shows that this is how Pakistan is inching towards being China's vassal state, where it has to import only Chinese military equipment. The J-35A, which is a multi-role stealth jet, is supposed to rival the best in the world and is only the second fifth-generation fighter jet that China has developed, making it an important addition to Pakistan's aging fleet of F-16s and French Mirage jets. But the implications of such a deal are very significant for India. India faces a two-front war and has been preparing for the same. But it needs to focus more on its air force, something that former Air Force chiefs have also said in the past. And with India now its own advanced aircraft in place, including the French-made Rafale and indigenous Tejas fighters remain formidable, it needs to now maybe boost more. The presence of Pakistan's stealth J-35As would require India to reassess its military strategies, bolster its defense mechanisms further. And as the stakes rise, the region holds its breath, aware that any shift in the air superiority equation would start a new arms race. The question remains, how will this deal tip the scales? And most importantly, India's response should this deal go through. All right, moving on to the world of business and technology. Apple is closing in on a historic $4 trillion stock market valuation, powered by investors cheering the progress in the company's long-awaited AI enhancements to rejuvenate the sluggish iPhone sales. The company has pulled ahead of NVIDIA and Microsoft in the race to the monumental milestone, thanks to a 16% jump in its shares early in November that has added about $500 billion to its market capitalization. All right, turning our attention, to what Dubai authorities are actually doing to cope up with the Christmas traffic in a bid to keep that traffic at bay during the bustling New Year celebration. Dubai's Roads and Transport Authority has announced that the Dubai Metro and Tram will operate non-stop for 43 hours from 5 a.m. on 31st of December until the end of 1st of January. The metro will keep rolling while the tram will run from 6 a.m. on 31st of December until 1 a.m. on 2nd of January. To make sure that revelers aren't left high and dry, the RTA will also deploy 1,400 buses available to the public free of charge. The Executive Director of Traffic at RTA has said the extended services, extra parking space and free buses will provide a smoother journey and help avoid gridlock as the city rings in the new year. Remember, Dubai attracts locals and most importantly, it attracts visitors from across the world who come to the city for celebrating New Year's in style. And as Scotland gears up to bring in the Christmas festive cheer, my colleague Radhika Iyer brings you this very special report from Edinburgh's iconic Christmas market.
This is the most special edition of Out of Britain this year. I'm coming to you from the capital of Scotland, from Edinburgh City. From the screams, you can totally tell that I'm at a Christmas market, and see how beautifully decked up this beautiful city of Edinburgh is. The vibe here is something you will only be able to experience, never ever ever be able to describe in full words. At least I can't. I'm going to walk across and show you a little bit about the Christmas markets, but I have here a bunch of fellow Indians who are hanging around in Edinburgh City. Let me jump across there and you come here so we can have this chat. Introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Akanksha and I work here in the UK.
Okay, Akansha, good to meet you. Where do you work?
I work in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and I have been here in the UK for now 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yes.
Okay, look there so people get to see you.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm Akshat, and I came here last Jan, and I'm doing my masters in advanced mechanical from Uni of Liverpool.
Okay, from Liverpool.
Hi, I am Anupriya. I'm studying Masters in Management in University of Liverpool.
Liverpool again, fantastic, great. Thanks for joining us. All three are starting with A's. I just noticed Akansha, Akshit, and Anu.
We are siblings.
Are you siblings? Oh, what is it like to be away from home but still have home?
Oh yeah, that's the fun. That's the fun.
Yeah.
Especially during Christmas, as I was just talking with him, that every Christmas I make sure that I come to see the Christmas market of Edinburgh at least once. So if I get a chance, and definitely more than once, but at least once I do come every year for the Christmas market in Edinburgh. So yeah, that's the fun with my sibling this time. So yeah.
Is it your first?
Yeah, it's my first time here in Christmas here in UK.
Okay. And your first?
It's my first time. I have come 2 months earlier only.
Are you cold? Okay, are you used to the cold by now?
Oh yes.
Does it always look as pretty as this? This is truly pretty. The vibe is unmatchable.
Yes, always, always, hands down.
What is your favorite memory of Christmas? Look there and chat with us.
Oh, favorite memory of Christmas is usually as I said, I work in Belfast. So what happened is there we have live concerts going on every weekend during Christmas, and there you have live bands, and you have people wearing those Christmas hats and dancing, and they literally dance their hearts out because it's Christmas. And the vibe that you see down on the streets, down the road, people dancing around, and they there's no barrier, there's even I don't celebrate Christmas, but I love the vibe because everyone around me is so happy. And you get that vibe of being so happy and with happy people. Even when I go out with my office colleagues, they are all happy. They are all in that drinking and dancing mode. So yeah, that's the best part.
Thank you for sharing that. It truly is happiness on display. Happiness on display, that Christmas vibe that viewers, we wish you as well ahead on Christmas Eve itself. Merry Christmas to all watching special edition of India Global. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Sainsbury's, how can we make this Christmas a bit more fizz-whizzy?
We can give you a hand.
A scrumptiddly-umptious salmon terrine, a roasted carrot galette, and a glory-umptious golden forest dessert.
Want to go big this Christmas? Ask Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's, good food for all of us.
I'm here.
How?
Look out the window. Look at it's a mobile phone, look.
Hij krast van zijn baby's head.
They can't see you, Mum.
Okay, now I can see everyone.
We can't see you, Mum.
It's on my phone, it's your phone. Check your phone.
Merry Christmas, love.
Merry Christmas, Mum.
So what's it like over there? Is it hot?
It's roasted.
Connecting you at Christmas for 40 years. Vodafone, the nation's network.
Something you got, man.
Turn that resistance up. Give me what you can.
That was lit. Just hold it here, team, and breathe. Let's hustle hard. Let's get it.
Nice work. Smashing it over there.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma, but so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pamelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies, and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. by calling 0800 021 3925 and giving £2 a month to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 021 3925, text C7 to 82727, or go online and give just £2 a month now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. I'm Gaurav, and our focus this Christmas Eve remains on Allu Arjun case. High drama in Hyderabad as the actor is questioned by the police. A special panel up ahead to discuss the issue, whether it's an ego clash, what's the politics behind it. But first, the headlines we're tracking this hour. Nearly 1,300 crores reported lost to cyber fraudsters in the last year in the city, says the Bengaluru police. A meager 10% has been recovered. The latest victim is a techie who lost nearly 12 crores. People need to know there's nothing called digital arrest and shouldn't fall for such scams, is a desperate appeal from the police. The Congress takes its fight against the centre's decision to tweak election rules on public inspection of election documents to the apex court, files a petition seeking withdrawal of restrictions on public access to CCTV footage. The world's largest airlines, American Airlines flights were grounded briefly due to unspecified technical reasons on Christmas Eve. Nationwide ground stop has been lifted now, but there were delays that were caused because of it. Over 300 roads, including 3 national highways, shut in Himachal Pradesh amidst a massive snowstorm. 4 people are reported dead in the chaos. But first, this evening, the action around Allu Arjun refuses to die out, both with the Hyderabad police on the one side, which questioned the star today, and at the box office with Pushpa 2 continuing to rake in the money. The fierce debate, though, is over the stampede case in which the actor was questioned for over 4 hours today. Remember the stampede in Sandhya Theatre on the 5th of December that led to the death of 39-year-old Revati and her 8-year-old son Shritesh with life-threatening injuries, who's recovering from those. They were from a family of fans of Arjun and had come to watch the movie. The police reportedly quizzed Arjun about the exact sequence of events that day, what transpired when he came to the theatre and who took what decisions which could have potentially led to that stampede. He has been charged, remember, with serious sections under the BNS, such as intentionally causing grievous injury and involuntary manslaughter. The police also released CCTV footage from the site of that stampede. Meanwhile, the boy who was injured, Shritesh, is still recovering, as I mentioned, from his injuries at the Hyderabad hospital. The big question has this become more about optics and an ego clash and less about the case itself? A special panel up ahead, but first on the reactions that came in from Hyderabad earlier in the day.
रेवंत रेड्डी जी किसी को इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं कर रहे, जो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का जो इश्यू है, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर अपने हिसाब से कर रहे हैं. आज भी आप देखेंगे तो अल्लू अर्जुन को बुला के पुलिस स्टेशन में उनके ऊपर इंक्वायरी हो रहा. आज वो लोग बोलने को बड़े बड़े बातें बोलते हैं. ये उनका सोच समझ कर राजनीति करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. उनसे ये इस तरह के बातों में तेलंगाना के लोग आने वाले नहीं है. और जो बीजेपी और बीआरएस का जो गठबंधन है, ये पूरा एपिसोड में मालूम पड़ रहा है कि दोनों भी किस तरह से डिफेंस करने के, मतलब साथ में मिलके एक सिचुएशन को डिफेंस करने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं.
I think he's trying to compete who's the superstar in Telangana. He's trying to show that he's a superstar than Allu Arjun. If Mr. Revanth Reddy thinks he's a superstar, right now also he's acting in Congress party. Congress is making pictures after pictures. He's the main actor in Telangana. Now the people who came inside, threw stones, flower pots, everything, got into ruckus. And 2-3 people came from his own constituency. 2-3 people. Of course, they have a forum saying that I come from this university and that university, which very clearly any common man will know it's politically motivated. What is happening in the whole case is a clear case of victimization and a clear case of bullying. Is Allu Arjun had an intention when he come to the theatre that somebody will die? Did Allu Arjun had a motive somebody will die? Did Allu Arjun knew for a fact somebody will die? When everybody says it's a mistake, should not have happened, it has happened, everybody feels sorry for it.
आज रेवंत रेड्डी के सरकार ने वो मनमना कर रहे, जो चाहे उसको अरेस्ट कर रहे, जो चाहे उनको छोड़ दे रहे। इन्हें ने आज 2-2 घंटा असेंबली में बहुत सारे स्टेट में इश्यूज है, किसानों का इशू है, लेबर का इशू है, दलितों का इशू है, माइनॉरिटीज का इशू है, उसके लिए बात करने के लिए टाइम नहीं है रेवंत रेड्डी को। लेकिन 2-2 घंटा एक फिल्म एक्टर के पीछे पड़ के वो एक पर्सनलाइज्ड टारगेट करके जा रहा है। देखिए मैं वो केस के बारे में नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, अगर से तुम केस रजिस्टर करना है तो करो, जो लॉ करना है करो, लेकिन सबके साथ क्यों नहीं करते?
Well,